Why is Lemuria often dismissed as a myth? Imagine a lost continent hidden beneath the oceans, a place where ancient civilizations thrived long before recorded history. Sounds like a story from a fantasy novel, right? Well, that's part of why many people dismiss Lemuria as just a myth. The idea of Lemuria started in the 19th century when scientists were trying to explain why lemur fossils appeared in both Madagascar and India but not in Africa or the Middle East. They thought maybe a sunken landmass connected these places and called it Lemuria. But as science advanced, especially with the discovery of plate tectonics, the idea of a lost continent was no longer needed. Scientists now understand that continents move over time through tectonic plates, which explains species distribution without the need for a sunken land. Because of this, the scientific community largely considers Lemuria a failed hypothesis. It simply doesn't fit with what we know about Earth's geological history. But the story didn't end there. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, occultists and mystics picked up the idea. Helena Blavatsky, a founder of Theosophy, claimed Lemuria was the home of an ancient, spiritually advanced race called Lemurians. This transformed Lemuria from a scientific idea into a mystical legend. It became a symbol of lost wisdom and ancient power in esoteric circles. Lemuria also gained cultural significance in some regions. For example, Tamil nationalists linked Lemuria to the origins of the Dravidian people, adding a layer of cultural pride and identity. This helped keep the myth alive outside of scientific circles. More recently, some geological studies have found evidence of a sunken landmass called Mauritia in the Indian Ocean. This landmass partially overlaps with where Lemuria was supposed to be. But it is not the same as the original hypothesis, and it doesn't support the mystical or ancient civilization claims. Instead, it's just an example of land that sank due to natural geological processes over millions of years. So, the main reasons Lemuria is dismissed as a myth are because the scientific explanation for species distribution no longer requires a lost continent, and because the idea has been adopted by mystical and cultural groups rather than scientists. It's a fascinating example of how a scientific hypothesis can evolve into a myth that captures imaginations and fuels stories of hidden worlds and ancient civilizations. From a historical and geological point of view, Lemuria remains a myth, but from a cultural and mystical perspective, it continues to inspire stories about lost worlds and secret knowledge.